Alright, we got a pretty interesting video popping up here. The tragic downfall of Dissidia Final Fantasy. Now for y'all that do not know, there is a new Dissidia Final Fantasy coming out, and I'm not gonna cap, that game looks buns. I'm not playing that. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a mobile game, a lot of microtransactions, you know, the regular steal your money package. Now obviously Square Enix is gonna be trying to feed off people's nostalgia for the franchise, putting fucking peak characters like Lightning, Cloud, Sephiroth, all types of cool characters. Now even though this is what Dissidia Final Fantasy basically is it's like a mashup of different Final Fantasy characters kind of fighting each other. To me, I don't think it's gonna be actually intentional with having the characters in the game. I could be wrong, this could be the next Smash Bros, we do not know. But I'm just predicting that this game is gonna flop, man. Why are they focusing on games like this? Like, who wants to play mobile Final Fantasy games? Nobody. What are you saying? Now, from all of the data that I've seen about Square Enix's history and like how it's been run for like the past 2 decades, every single CEO says let's do fucking mobile games, and I don't understand it. Each one, like, they do not prioritize quality. They just go straight into the mobile game rabbit hole, just releasing anything though. It's not even quality, nigga. I don't understand that. And I get that, like, okay, just statistically having more games on platforms that can reach more people will generate more income, right? But at what cost, man? You're ruining each of these Final Fantasy characters' legacy, really just Final Fantasy's legacy in general, by having these shitty ass mobile games. Not to say that there wasn't any bangers. I feel like possibly Union Cross, you know, Kingdom Hearts, that mobile game might have been fire, because I've seen a lot of people like actually enjoy the story in that. But other than that, I can't really see any worthwhile mobile games to actually put your time into for Final Fantasy. And again, that's not where your true actual core fan base lies. Your true fan base lies on PlayStation, PC, maybe Xbox, and handheld systems. Not the mobile game handheld system though. I'm talking about Nintendo's, PSPs and shit. That's where you should actually be targeting people at. And the only thing that we want is quality Final Fantasy games. That's it. That's all you gotta do. We should be getting at least one new Final Fantasy installment every 3 years or something. Let's not wait 6 years again, man. Come on. We do not need Final Fantasy 17 coming out when I'm about to be a grandpa. That's terrible. Okay? That's terrible. Like, hey, check the data. Before Final Fantasy 10, they were releasing, like, they were pumping out Final Fantasies, man. All of quality though, and it's crazy. Back-to-back bangers. Why are they not doing that anymore? I don't understand this shit. But I can keep yapping. I've seen so much fucking research done about this game. I know it all in my brain. It's all in the back of my brain now. It's just very frustrating that they still keep creating terrible IPs, terrible products. But yeah, let's get into the video. The tragic downfall of Dissidia Final Fantasy. Let's go.
How can you fumble a franchise this bad when you have some of the most iconic characters in gaming?
That's exactly what I'm saying. We got Cloud, we got Squall, we got Lightning. Let's even throw in Noctis, even though the game that he was in was terrible. That nigga's a cool ass character. Why are they doing these characters like this? I don't understand.
Square Enix built a niche where fans could experience dream matchups and see interactions across generations of Final Fantasies.
See, now look. In theory, Dissidia is fucking cool. This could be everything a Final Fantasy fan wants that actually wants to play fighting games too. There's so many fan favorite interactions that we want to see happen that Dissidia actually makes happen. But the way that they're doing it is buns.
Dissidia had been handled even slightly better. It had potential to go on to be the Smash Bros of the JRPG genre. And to be clear,
for real,
Dissidia did have a golden era. It was just very short-lived. But in that time, it was positioned to be one of the pillars of Final Fantasy. But instead, Square Enix let it die quietly. Now recently it was revealed that Dissidia would be returning.
Yeah, this looks terrible though.
Quite literally the stupidest way possible.
Terrible.
Hey guys, I'm Tag the Legend,
Jesus Christ.
and on this channel we discuss fan debates and break down JRPGs new and old to see which ones are actually worth your time. Today we're going to be looking at the tragic downfall of Dissidia Final
Fantasy. Look at this lineup. All trash. This whole heavenly lineup in a trash ass game. We got Cecil, nigga.
Fantasy,
like, come
and how
on,
the
man.
perfect concept was fumbled. If you enjoy content
so
like this,
sad
I'd
and
appreciate it if you
man.
smash that subscribe
Like,
button
this.
and help me get this video to 100 likes. And now we can finally discuss why Dissidia worked in the first place. On paper, I feel like Square Enix stumbled across the perfect way to use their iconic characters. Final Fantasy already thrived on power scaling and fan debates on forums at that time. Now keep in mind this is around 2000.
Imagine if Dissidia actually made sense. Like there was actually like a fire story to it though. Like similar to Subspace Emissary from Smash Bros. Imagine if it was like that, but just done well. That could have been something, man. Come on, man.
5-ish, and power scaling is, you know, who beats who's stronger, and who deserves the win. You see it across anime, gaming. It's just fun discourse. And Dissidia didn't just lean into that. It let you play it out. You were loading into matches where Seth Ross.
Oh yeah, sorry. I keep pausing, but I keep having thoughts and shit. This would have been like one of the only few kind of, I guess, arena fighters you can call it that looked realistic too. There's not too many of those. Like I feel like that realism factor that Final Fantasy is known for would have aided this franchise heavily, because what else do we really got that's realistic? Maybe Jump Force, but that shit was buns. So I'm just saying, this could have been the one that people actually respected and actually played outside of like the fucking anime fan base. Because those anime arena fighters are, I don't know, man. Each of them, they have no depth. The graphics already scare away half the population. Like, what else do you really want? But with this, we have, like, actually cool-ass characters, good-ass graphics. This could have been something big if they would have done something cool with it. But, of course, they revert back to anime graphics somehow? Why are we looking at Final Fantasy IX graphics in 2026 for a new Dissidia release? What's going on?
Could fight Titus, where Lightning could clash with Cloud, and where characters from completely different eras of Final Fantasy were finally allowed to interact. And that's why people played and loved Dissidia. Those moments were the game. And instead of copying a traditional fighting game, Dissidia kind of carved out its own lane. An arena fighter with the Final Fantasy hook, utilizing bravery and an HP system, which rewarded strategic play and aggression and decision making instead of just having you spend hours in a practice mode memorizing combos. Nothing's wrong with that, but I felt like the method that Dissidia took was more suited for a Final Fantasy fan. Now, Dissidia could have been an ongoing spinoff that would have been very successful. Every new entry could have expanded the roster, added new game modes, told new crossover stories, and created character interactions we never even dreamed of seeing.
This guy is on to something with what he's saying. Like, this could have actually been a fire franchise. I'm just saying, man. Like, I don't know. I would have dropped a new Dissidia game every probably 3 Final Fantasies or something, maybe 4, just to like actually make it a noticeable jump in characters. And that would have been something that could have been going on for a bit. Of course, at this point in time, Dissidia probably would have only had like 2 games like how it has now, right? There's not really a lot of new characters that, at least like main characters that they've added, since they literally just stopped releasing Final Fantasy games in any type of consistent format. Now it's every like 6 years now. That's crazy. At first it was at like maybe 2 years, 3 years max. But they were dropping shit pretty frequently. Now, I'm not sure, so do not quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that they were releasing shit within like the same year. 2 Final Fantasy games within the same year, both of quality. So if they were kind of releasing stuff in that frequency, even though I don't see that being possible anymore with like how much time and just how more expansive the games are nowadays, that they could ever do that type of frequent releasing again. But it would be in their best efforts to probably start dropping Final Fantasies a bit more frequently. Like, do not wait 6 years. That's all I'm saying, man. That is ridiculous.
Over how I would fix Final Fantasy, I brought up Square Enix really could benefit from a game like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink with the Final Fantasy Code of Pain on it. Someone in the comments brought up that is what Dissidia was supposed to be, and I do believe that's what the proper evolution should have been. For a brief moment, it did feel like Square Enix was going in that direction with the golden era of Dissidia, a fighting game that was designed specifically for Final Fantasy fans first to please that core audience. The golden era of Dissidia started in 2008 with the release of Dissidia Final Fantasy, developed by Team Ninja on the PSP. Just a few years earlier, Final Fantasy Advent Children had reminded people just
hold up. Okay, what games have they produced? Because they sound familiar. Ninja Gaiden Team? Really? Okay.
How
That's
badly
interesting.
they wanted to see Final Fantasy characters actually fight each other in an animated sequence outside of turn-based
They had a
combat.
pretty good
Dissidia gave players a way to recreate those moments,
team
not
for
in
this.
cutscenes though, but in real time. Obviously not as high quality as Advent Children, but you get what I'm saying. Now, what's interesting is that Dissidia didn't even start out as a Final Fantasy project. Tetsuya Nomura originally envisioned it as a Kingdom Hearts spin-off featuring Disney characters before the concept was refocused entirely on Final Fantasy. Now, as funny as it is to think of Goofy and Donald Duck floating around fighting, I think the pivot couldn't have worked out better because this really kicked off.
See, now I'm thinking more. Oh my god, it could have expanded from Final Fantasy into different realms like Kingdom Hearts, then going into other Square Enix properties like Dragon Quest, Octopath. Come on, man, you're not thinking. They really had something here. They could have actually done some cool shit with this. Why would they make it trash? Why?
Because of Final Fantasy, and I don't know if it would have hit the same if it was just Kingdom Hearts.
They could have went into different avenues,
both
man.
Protagonists
Different
and
dimensions.
antagonists from every mainline Final Fantasy through Final Fantasy X, but the villains weren't just chosen on a whim and randomly. Instead of defaulting to like the final bosses, Square Enix prioritized antagonists with genuine rivalries with the protagonists. And the story mode reflected that same mindset. Each protagonist had their own campaign.
Like, bro, adding the whole Kingdom Hearts cast adds at least like 16 to 32 new characters. Like, that franchise has a lot of characters, so come on, man, work with me. They had a lot of content that they could have added to this game. Instead of just restricting it just to Final Fantasy characters, they really could have went into different avenues, different worlds, different dimensions. Like, Square Enix really could have just been that encompassing company that has all the cool franchises and then puts all their franchises into one game. No one's seen that before. I feel like people would actually want to see Sora fight fucking Lightning or something, or Roxas fight somebody else, or then all of the fucking Dragon Quest protagonists fight different Final Fantasy characters. Octopath. What else do we got? We got Secrets of Mana, right? Chrono Trigger. Come on, man. What's going on? They're missing out on opportunities as we speak. Every minute that this does not happen, they're losing out on millions.
Letting you experience
Millions
the
of
story
dollars
from
wasted.
their perspective.
Lost.
Now, all of those campaigns fed into a larger cosmic war between Chaos and Cosmos, creating a crossover
I'm not tripping, right?
narrative.
Like,
mechanically,
that would be
Dissidia
fire.
was
I'm just
a
thinking about
one-on-one
that.
arena fighter
Chrono
that was set in
fucking
different
frog.
stages from iconic Final Fantasy locations, but it didn't play like a normal fighting game or any arena fighter out in that era. The entire system revolved around bravery and HP. You spent most of the matches building bravery through doing bravery attacks, while simultaneously stripping bravery away from your opponent, because if you hit them with the bravery attack, they would lose bravery points. And only once you built enough BP, you were able to cash it in with an HP attack that deals exactly that amount of damage you built up to the opponent, reducing their HP. So bravery attacks would build bravery, but they wouldn't lose health. And then once you built that up and did the health attack, that
it's hard to believe Team Ninja developed something like this. That's like there's so many factors that goes into this combat system compared to like a Ninja Gaiden, where like it's mainly just combos, good timing though, and kind of high difficulty. So this is just like completely different for them, you know. So it is like really interesting just seeing this.
that would be how you did chunks of HP damage to your opponent. So layered on top of that was an EX gauge. And as it filled, you could enter an EX mode, which would give you stat boosts and in some cases visual transformations. If you landed an HP attack in that state, you had triggered an EX burst, which is your character's signature cinematic attack. Certain characters could even perform summons once specific conditions were met. All of this really made Dissidia Final Fantasy impossible to brute force. You couldn't just mash buttons, and you couldn't treat it like a traditional arena fighter either. You had to strategize building up that BP and planning when you're going to execute your HP attack. Then there were the RPG systems. Characters were able to level up, learn new abilities, and equip gear, but everything was limited by CP, meaning that you couldn't just stack every overpowered skill that you got. You had to make choices, and those choices made every different build feel personable to what you wanted. Dissidia even leaned into multiplayer as best as it could at the time. You had local play with friends and offline battles against AI versions of real players that you had their gamer tags for. And then on offline battles against players best as it could at the time. You had local play with
I'm seeing like stuff up there saying like received 4 AP.
And offline battles against AI versions.
Obtain Gil and shit like that. So it seems like there's like kind of a level or like a whole economy outside of the actual combat, which is kind of interesting.
Versions of real players that you had their gamer tags
levels
for.
And shit.
And then on top of all of that, The game featured remixed soundtracks across the entire Final Fantasy's universe, which gave a different take on classic OSTs. Now, when you put all of this together, it's really easy to see how Dissidia Final Fantasy worked in the first place. And it wasn't just a crossover. It was really a Final Fantasy fans' playground because we were able to play with our favorite characters from the mainline installments beyond beating their game. And the sales reflected that. Within the first year, Dissidia Final Fantasy sold nearly 1 million copies in Japan alone, becoming the 4th best-selling PSP game in the region.
That is not bad at all, man.
Final Fantasy was proof of concept. Dissidia 012 was Square Enix actually understanding what they had, and this was released in 2011. And 012 didn't try and reinvent Dissidia, it just refined what worked. This was the same foundation, just much sharper and more intentional. The biggest addition was the assist system, because you could call in another character mid-fight to extend combos, apply pressure, or even bail yourself out of bad.
That adds so much more depth to the combat system, like just having assists or even like switching into a different character as well. Like that's what makes like games like Marvel vs. Capcom so enticing, because like now there's like, it's like you're juggling 2 different characters, 2 different rosters of people. What the fuck? We're going crazy.
Situations, and it didn't replace any core combat, it just layered on top of that to make it more complex. The focus was still one-on-one battles. EX mode was rebalanced, so that way it wasn't always the obvious choice to enter your EX.
Wait, so is it not like a tag team system? So it's just assists, that's it. There's no actual like tag, like nigga, sub out, let me get in this bitch. Nothing like that. Okay.
It forced you to actually think on when to commit to using it. Characters were reworked and movement felt even smoother, and the story leaned into what Dissidia did best. 012 reframed the narrative as a prequel, giving characters more context and interactions without drowning the game in lore.
Just seeing like just different characters that like we all love interact with each other from different dimensions, man. That's some cool ass shit. And I'm gonna keep on saying it. Imagine they had that Chrono Trigger, that Kingdom Hearts in there. They could have implemented different franchises, really expanded this shit.
Just for the sake of doing it. All of these things are why so many fans still point to 012 as the definitive Dissidia experience, even though there are newer games. And it felt like Square Enix had finally found the exact balance.
This UI looks kind of booty though. What the fuck?
Mechanical depth.
And these numbers,
was
man.
the moment right here that Dissidia could have went on to be a long-term pillar of Final Fantasy. The blueprint and the formula was already laid and established. All Square Enix needed to do was continue building on it. And then they didn't. Instead of iterating on that formula, Square Enix went back to the drawing board. And this is where the problems and the tragic downfall of the Dissidia franchise really starts. After 012, Dissidia disappeared for 7 years, and by the time it came back, the industry had changed, and Square Enix's priorities changed with it. When Dissidia finally returned with Dissidia NT, it wasn't a continuation of what worked. It came back as something just fundamentally different. Now, maybe Dissidia NT was Square Enix's take on what they wanted the evolution of Dissidia to be, but I think this major flop really just halted any type of momentum the franchise had for a future game and to continue building. While Dissidia NT wouldn't hit consoles until 7 years after 012, it wasn't dormant during that time. In Japan, it was already being tested in arcade cabinets. And back then, arcade cabinets weren't like some nostalgia thing. They were things that developers did to determine what they had in a game and test out different mechanics. It was a controlled environment where you could watch players in real time, tweak mechanics on the fly, and balance out characters based on actual data.
That's kind of cool.
Just theory.
Huh, okay. I never looked at arcades like that, but I guess to like actual game developers, they're kind of like testing grounds or like playgrounds to like actually get feedback from the players, actually see people do combos in real time, actually experiment with your combat system and shit. So that's kind of cool that it's kind of more than just like a place just to play games. Like it also doubles as like visual feedback for developers and shit. So that's kind of cool.
Crafting and speculation when the units are shipped out the console. But before Dissidia NT even reached anything console related, the directors made their intentions clear that they weren't just pushing to make the next Dissidia game. They wanted to take the franchise to being esports relevant, and they openly stated that while Square Enix couldn't force it to become an esport, they were deeply interested in seeing Dissidia NT become one, and that future support would depend entirely on whether the community embraced
this could have been
it.
crazy.
And like I said earlier, I can see the thinking of why you think this would be the evolution of Dissidia, but that mindset bled directly into the design of Dissidia NT. It shifted away from one-on-one duels and into 3v3 team combat. Nearly
Team
every
combat.
mode funneled players towards PvP, even though a massive portion of the fan base only treated Dissidia as a single player first experience.
Oh yeah.
This is also the first
They
game off of
completely changed the whole game concept. What the fuck? 3v3? Are we playing high guard in this bitch? What the fuck?
PSP, and the PSP games worked because
Hell no.
they respected that thought process of making it a single player experience first. Now there was casual multiplayer layered on
it's
top
like
of
multiplayer.
that, but I feel like Dissidia NT flipped that priority entirely. Team-based competitive play became the foundation, and meaningful solo content was left behind. Dissidia NT
Like, I feel like that's where a lot of fighting games kind of struggle nowadays, is that they don't really put any meaning into their solo content anymore. It's just kind of there. Like, okay, there is like a slight story to it, but you could tell that there wasn't really a focus for the story inside the fighting game. I feel like the main focus for developers when they are developing fighting games is for the multiplayer nowadays, which is not wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong to do, but that significantly decreases the longevity and like just the fan base of your game, because at that point you're just playing a game with characters in it. There's not like, we want to know the characters, we want to see them interact with each other inside the actual game itself rather than just fucking boxing. We want to see them talking, sharing a fucking nice hot coffee with some fucking crumpets and shit. Like, dude, you want to see characters actually interacting with each other, making memorable scenes, shit like that. We don't get that shit anymore. I haven't seen that shit in a long time, man. And especially with a franchise with one of like some of the best stories in gaming, period. Y'all had all the coins, hella money, nigga. What the fuck? You had everything to actually make meaningful solo play. This franchise is known for good ass stories. So for you to create a game with some of gaming's peak characters, just in general, peak characters, and not really consider actually putting intention behind the solo content, come on, man, that's gonna rub off the wrong way on people. Like, hey man, as soon as fans realize that this solo content is buns, they dipped, right? So come on, you gotta actually do your research, actually receive your feedback, apply it, stop making the same mistakes. Come on, chop chop chop. I gotta go pee real quick, hold up. All right, I am back from the pisser. Let's keep on watching.
Dissidia special. It didn't trust the fan base, and it didn't trust the idea that Final Fantasy could cross over and succeed without being shoved into an esports shaped box to try and get a Final Fantasy game in front of more players. And Dissidia isn't an outlier here. You see that same pattern.
That is just like the main problem with all of the Final Fantasy games after 10. They're trying too hard to actually get more people into the franchise that would not fuck with the franchise otherwise. And that can be through dumbing down the combat, making, in some cases, the game genre different from what people are used to just to kind of appeal to more people, which does not work. I'm just telling you, it's way better just to stay in your roots and upgrade. Upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. Do not cut the roots off and go into a different pot. No! What are you doing? It's like you're starting over and over again. And each time you actually start a new genre or something, and then you switch from that, you're just gonna fucking alienate that player base. So what's really the point of even doing that if you're not gonna stick with that genre now? Like, you're dipping your toes into different waters. Just stay in one pool and start swimming. That's all you gotta do. But yeah, man, shit.
Multiple Square Enix projects from that era where they had a very strong idea, but diluted it or changed the core value of it in an attempt to appeal to everyone.
Why are we watching Dirty Cerberus
They slowly
cutscenes?
started to appeal less and less to the core that made it popular. In 2019, Square Enix tried to salvage NT by making it free to play, but at that time it didn't matter. The damage was already done.
Man, that's
and
sad.
to be clear, the core idea behind NT isn't unsalvageable in my opinion. With modern graphics and a real investment in both the single player and multiplayer experience, I do think that it can work today with where gaming is right now and how much push there is for multiplayer games out there.
Yeah.
But that would actually require some real effort. But instead, Dissidia returned in the most predictable way possible,
a
repackaged as mobile slop.
Jesus
Dissidia Dueling
Christ.
doesn't feel like it was designed to evolve the franchise. Felt like it's more just to extract the value of what was left. And if Dissidia Dueling plays anything like it did in the closed beta, I think it's going to be dead on arrival due to one specific mechanic. But if they do take this mechanic out, I feel like they honestly could salvage the game because it doesn't look that bad. It actually looks kind of fun sometimes. Dissidia, Dwellum, Duelum, I don't know which one it is, so I'm gonna say Duelum because I like Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think it's Duelum.
But it's set in a modern day Tokyo where crystals pull monsters and fighters from across Final Fantasy history into the real world. Now the story is fully voiced in Japanese and told through episodic character scenes. And like I said, conceptually, I don't think it's a bad idea. Mechanically, Duelum sticks close to NT's 3-on-3 format, but instead of directly fighting the opposing team, both sides are racing to defeat their own boss the fastest. You can skirmish and PvP.
I personally think that they should have stuck with the single player or like a 1v1 type of system. That 3v3 shit is terrible to me. And these graphics are not good. I feel that with this visual art style that they're going for with this game is just gonna blend into games such as like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and shit like that, which is not a good look for Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was always known for a more mature, serious type of tone, so just having this type of look to the game is not good, man. I would much rather play like the original Dissidia than this game, just off of looks alone. But that's just me.
The other team to slow them down, so you get to prioritize attacking the other team or focusing on DPS and your boss.
Are not good for mainstream appeal.
The game doesn't look that bad, even though it's a mobile game. The gameplay itself, I would say, looks fine. I hope that there's a PC client or some type of way to play it on PC.
That's gonna be even more buns.
The gameplay even makes me kind of
the worst games, and I hate games like that. Games that are just adapting the mobile counterpart into PC, because the mobile counterpart is just not a actual game. If you think about it, it's not an actual cool game. So playing it on PC is not gonna make it better. It's gonna make it worse to me. Like, you'll see all the flaws even more playing it on an actual platform that is supposed to run actual cool ass games, not some fucking mobile slop. You know what I'm saying?
In a short burst until you hit the monetization system, and then it's like, man, do I really want to download this? Duelum uses a gacha system, which at this point is expected. And I play mobile games, man. So I'm not just like, if this is
you do not deserve to be in this fucking game,
I actually
man.
enjoy some games, and I feel like a gacha doesn't make or break the game if it's just limited to characters. Now, where Duelum goes wrong is they now make you summon on a gacha to get skills, man. Not cosmetics, not optional modifiers. Core parts of characters' movesets are locked behind additional gacha pools to get the skills. Why can't you just get monetization from the cosmetics and the characters? Like, I feel like that should be more than enough to sustain and generate revenue from this game. So even if you're lucky and you pull your favorite character, you're not done. You have to go back into the gacha just to make them function in the way that they were supposed to. Now, there are universal skills that you can equip to multiple characters, but I mean, if you roll Sephiroth, you want to use Sephiroth's signature moves. You don't want to just use generic blasts 1, 2, 3. Now, I will say this could potentially be interesting if there's like hundreds of moves for one specific character, because then it adds more.
This guy is a very good optimist, man, and I respect that, but come on, man. I don't see no future for this game. No future. This is looking very grim for them. Like, who decided that this is a good idea to make? Who wants this? If they did want to make a handheld Dissidia game, they could have at least put it on like Switch or something, not just mobile. Mobile is like the least powerful console. And then if you just think about it for a second, all mobile games are really made for are just to optimize stealing your attention. There's no other true meaning to a mobile game that I've seen. All of them are just there putting all types of colors in your face, all types of notifications, shit like that. Shit that keeps you interested in the game for as long as possible. And that's not to say that that's a bad thing, because, okay, what is media in general supposed to do is supposed to keep you interested, but they do it in such a scummy way that is not innovative. It seems very scummy, very corporate. Like, there's no soul behind this shit. And you can see it here. They're locking skills behind paywalls. What is this, man? They are literally trying to use your emotions against you to buy this shit. It's sad.
Or player expression, where you can build your Sephiroth different than any other player. But I feel like it's just going to lead to a situation where there's most optimal builds, and those are going to be locked behind like 5 stars in a gacha. And after Dissidia NT already face planning, I feel like this system almost guarantees the same outcome for Dissidia Duelum. If nothing changes, Duelum is going to be end of service in 2 or 3 years. And at this point, it feels less like speculation and more like recognizing a pattern we see with
I've
all
always
of these
hated
mobile
this
games
game
coming out from Square Enix.
look of it.
It's probably going to be the nail in the coffin for the Dissidia franchise. Now, I don't like criticizing.
I hate mobile games in general, so just seeing like my beloved franchise Kingdom Hearts being a mobile game is just always going to be kind of sad. You know, luckily they did cancel that shit, because that would have just been kind of unbearable to see important lore locked behind a mobile game. So hopefully they can kind of transfer that lore into Kingdom Hearts 4, like an actual spin-off title that's on the consoles and shit.
An alternative or a potential solution. And so I don't think this game is bad, and I think that it still can work. And here's what I would do to salvage the system and make it more enjoyable. Nomura's character designs are still strong. I think this is a hit, and this is how you're going to sell those cosmetics to generate revenue. And the modern day Tokyo setting actually leaves a lot of room for genuinely interesting stories and cross-generational character interactions. I feel like they need to lean into that heavily and make it a focus rather than an afterthought. But I think more importantly, they need to diversify the game modes if they haven't already, and launch with something like a 5v5 capture the flag mode, something close to One Piece Bounty Rush or Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Strikers. These are both two games that have been around for, I think both have been out for about a decade, that still have a diehard core fan base off of just a capture the flag.
He put Shinobi Strikers in the conversation. Like, that's an actual console game. That's why that's just actually fire. Bounty Rush is a mobile game. Who wants to play that? Like, yes, there are people, little kids, mainly. It's mainly just little kids, if you think about it, that play mobile games still on their iPad and shit. But once you're a big boy, once you actually have some fucking underwear, not some diapers, you're gonna want to play console games, PC games. Shinobi Strikers definitely did it right, though. That was one of the best games I've played from the kind of anime arena fighter genre, you know. Shinobi Strikers was a good game to me. I actually liked it. There was a lot of cool shit that you could do in it. The customization was cool. And I'm pretty sure that you did not have to pay for a lot of shit in that game. You kind of just get it because you fucking bought the game, right? So why would they lock even more shit behind paywalls? At that point, you're just earning shit, which is a lot better than having to pay for shit. That's the main thing. I want to earn cool gear. And it puts a lot more meaning into the gear that you get, right? It makes it more legendary because, okay, this guy spent 10 hours to get this gear compared to this guy only spending like 2 minutes. So off rip, it makes achieving gear a lot more satisfying. But yep, let's get back to the video.
Game mode. Now I'm going to highlight One Piece Bounty Rush because that's where my expertise is in. And I feel like this isn't a grinder in this game. Perfect, that's crazy. But it survived for a decade based on monetizing characters, battle passes, and not locking core gameplay behind gacha pools. You just get to play the game with your favorite characters from One Piece, and that's all fans want. You have 3 different roles, being a runner, an attacker, and a defender, which is pretty self-explanatory what they do. And I believe the same thing for all of this can be said with Shinobi Strikers. Now, these systems already translate well with the current established roles in Duelim, with the range, melee support, and agile, so there probably wouldn't need to be much tweaking going on here for them to implement a capture the flag style mode. And I think this would encourage PvP with also another objective to do, similar to what they're trying to do with these boss fights. But I think a solely PvP focused game with an objective provides more replayability than killing the same bosses over and over and over and trying to skirmish every now and then. Now, yes, I'm being harsh and I didn't get my hands on the beta, but I feel like I've played enough mobile games to recognize the trajectory. When skills are monetized, the design stops being about fun and starts to feel like it's about milking you. I would have preferred to have a console Dissidia game, but I'm not mad that we got a mobile one because at least it's something.
I'm mad
and I really hope that they can get it right and make it work. Now, the tragedy about the Dissidia franchise isn't that it failed. It's that Square Enix found the right formula back in 2011 and then chose to abandon it in an attempt to reach a broader audience. And if that sounds familiar, it should, because it's the same problem that the mainline Final Fantasy series is still wrestling with 15 years later.
There's no integrity with Final Fantasy. Like, after 10, their integrity went out the window. And what I mean by that is that they just completely flipped the script. They switched up to try to appeal to more people. And that is always what is going to make a franchise go down. And this goes outside of video games. This goes with media, books, TV shows, shit like that. If you don't stay loyal to your main concept, what actually got people to love what you made, and they peep that switch up and know that, okay, he's just trying to please everybody. No one's gonna fuck with your shit as heavily. Now, I'm not saying that nobody's gonna fuck with their shit at all, but what I am saying is that there's not gonna be that core fan base that you started with there. They're gonna be gone. They're gonna be kind of just in the void looking for a different franchise to kind of latch onto that has an echo of what you presented. So, you know, that's how it goes, man, and that's how it's going for Final Fantasy. They are not really taking this shit seriously. They don't take their fans seriously. They keep making games trying to be more easily accessible and shit like that. And yes, that is a good intention and concept, but as you play it out, it just comes off as like there's no integrity. So yeah.
100+ page document was dropped by Square Enix's biggest investor. And if you want to hear my thoughts on that and how I would fix Final Fantasy, be sure to check out this video.
That investor was saying the most harsh shit to them, but they deserve it, man. Like, what? What are you guys doing, man? But yeah, this was a pretty good video. It definitely has some good insights onto like what Dissidia was and what it is now. And I really do feel like this could be a cool franchise if they actually kind of make it a lot more refined, a lot more intentional. But the main thing that they should be doing is including every avenue of Square Enix. Chrono Trigger, Octopath, Dragon Quest. I'm seeing all the numbers and wires connecting. If they want to expand their fan base, that's how they could do it. I am telling you, there are fans of Chrono Trigger, Octopath, Dragon Quest that have not really played Final Fantasy like that and wouldn't even think of playing Dissidia. But if you implement their characters into the game, they might actually give it a chance. So I'm just saying, if they want to expand, do that. And yeah, hope that you enjoyed this little reaction. Peace.
Riku!